All right. Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with meaningful conversations in English with non-native speakers. My name is Jedrek,
My name is Masha.
and we are two English teachers who
Who
get on with
teach
it.
people.
Oh, what?
What we do.
That is something. Two teachers who actually teach people. Who would have guessed?
That's what I hope we do.
All right, great. It's not so certain, right? I mean,
No,
teaching
it's never
is
certain.
I think I already told you. Somebody asked me if my work is hard, and of course it's not. I mean, look at this. I'm sitting on my chair, for the whole day. It's quite comfortable,
Drinking tea.
drinking tea, and having nice conversations with nice people. And what's more, having absolutely no responsibility when it comes to outcomes. Because how can I actually ensure that people learn, or that they actually get educated here? I mean, I can't. Teachers
And
are great. This is a great profession because you don't even know if you're teaching, even if you really intend to.
well, I hope you
That's
do
why.
intend to do it, but
Yeah, I
it's
do, but I can't ensure that
Mhm.
my teaching will actually be effective.
Not all people agree with you. And the other day, I was actually thinking maybe I should put it in the next newsletter. But okay, yeah, I will. I'm not greedy. I'll share
Write
it
it down. Write
now.
it down,
No, no,
because these ideas they are fleeting.
So I was sent a what is it, reels, whatever it's called on Instagram, people do. And there was one
Whatever.
teacher,
Yes.
I don't remember what she's teaching. She's a tutor, when you teach
Mhm.
one-to-one. And her story or whatever it was about, she was very 100% positive, and that's what she was advocating, that every tutor absolutely must guarantee a result. If your tutor doesn't guarantee you a result,
Mhm. Mhm.
provided you follow all recommendations the
Mhm.
teacher is giving you, then you should basically run away from this teacher. How's that, Elon Musk?
Well, yeah, I can counter that. It's absolutely doable in a world where education is structured and quantified, like Cambridge tests, or in our profession, right? Or any kind of environment that has been cut out to be measured, to be quantified and so on. But this, deep inside, it's not real education.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind
when it
of
comes to, I'm
ersatz.
thinking of language, I'm
Hmm.
thinking of, it's called today, not actually ESP, but something like micro learning, micro teaching. When, for example, somebody asks me to help them prepare for a job interview. This is actually training a person. This is not teaching. I can
Yeah,
train them
yeah,
because we
yeah. You're
can
right. You're
we
right.
can
You're right.
rehearse, we can come up with possible questions, typical questions that are asked during interviews.
Yeah, and
We
then
can
then
go
there's
through
always something
answers.
surprising, at the actual interview, and then you fall
Yeah, but
flat.
you can more or less, prepare for this. And
You
in
could. You're
this
right.
case, I maybe could and maybe should
Guarantee something.
guarantee some
Yeah,
result.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
yeah. If we speak about this sort of education,
Training. I wouldn't call it
training. Sorry.
education. I would
Yeah,
call it
yeah. You're right.
training. I would
Training. Yes.
train a person.
And we are back to this conversation why people call themselves trainers and not teachers, because trainer is actually someone who can guarantee something. There's
Yeah.
an area that is well defined,
Hmm.
and I'll make sure that you've got the moves, and you can
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
master this here little area, like for example asking for the lost luggage at the airport, or yeah, going through a job
And some
interview or something.
teachers today, actually, they prefer to call themselves language trainers. And I understand why,
Yeah,
because it's very easy to sell this.
I mean,
And I can
because of these
sell it.
guarantees,
Yeah,
because of
and
these
I can
guarantees,
uh, I
because you
can
can
charge a
frame.
lot of money for this because see, I will make sure that you get from here to here in this time if you follow my
Yeah,
instructions and it
yeah,
costs.
and yeah, and you pay for this feeling of security, I would say, that, oh, thank God, I found someone who will get me to B2 or whichever level, and
Mhm.
this will be certified at the end, with a certificate or something. And yeah, I totally understand it. However, it's not where I work.
Unfortunately,
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with
we would
my
already be, I don't know, we could spend our vacations on the Maldives.
you just think so.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but on the other side, I wouldn't feel comfortable, being this kind of a soldier, like,
How do you
and
know you've never
or
tried?
lieutenant, because I know it, I know my character, I know my myself. I would basically wither in that kind of environment, I would definitely be unhappy, and perhaps it's the primary reason why I'm not teaching in a public school where you have certain curriculum and certain program that you need to realize, and I
Yeah,
think
but
there's
knowing
very
that the
little room for.
person nailed this interview and the person is so grateful, isn't it rewarding?
It is rewarding, yes, but I always see higher goals in life than just nailing an
Oh
interview
yeah,
and
yeah,
getting a
yeah,
job, this
yeah,
or
yeah.
that. You don't get this job, you will
We
get
know
another
you.
one. What is my, and I need to say that out loud. It's great we have
Because
this
it's an
platform
out
to do
loud,
it
yeah.
because it's out loud. Yes, I want to say that my primary goal when working with people is to give them courage, to plant this seed of courage inside of them, so that so they are not afraid to fail, not afraid to fail both linguistically or professionally or wherever, because we are all humans, and I think ultimately, the big picture is that this is a better kind of mm, it bears better outcome when you think about the world in general, to have courageous people who sometimes fail, but if they fail, they are still human, they think their own thoughts, they are more themselves,
And they're
than some, robots. You will be outsmarted by AI anyway, in these domains that are
the main which
measurable.
must be called.
Yes, but
No
I did
AI in
say,
this.
yeah. Yeah, but you will. I mean, what you are talking about, these guarantees in education, they actually prepare people to be machine-like, because you've got this area of like grammar, for example, or whatever, and this is what you can master. This is something that machines are already doing. So why? I don't understand why should we actually prepare people to be like machines. There's a great article, Masha, by Jacek, who was our guest here a few months ago, who wrote an article, Why You Should Learn Languages in the Era of AI. Beautiful article. I'll ask Jacek to maybe if I can translate it, and I will put it into our
And it will be
newsletter.
guest appearance on our newsletter
Yeah, I'll ask Jacek, the
instead of
once we
one of our texts.
ah guess
Ooh,
who's.
let's take it. Oh my, let's take
Masha,
a day off.
I want to talk about writing a little bit, since we've already touched this subject. Um, our listeners already know that we have started to publish a newsletter, right?
Mhm.
Fantastic
Mhm.
adventure for both of us and for our co-authors, I think, of whom there are more and more. And I want to ask you because you know I think writing is hard, because we write, each one of us writes some kind of a, what is it? A text. I won't say an article. It's not an article, but a
No.
text, right? For the every other issue of of our newsletter. So
a seed. I would call it a seed you want to plant.
yeah, okay,
You
great.
might.
Oh, yeah, the seeds, but how does it match our title in the same boat? Are we actually carrying some seeds in that boat? Anyway,
Now we have
but
to
the
reconsider the
point
name.
is, yeah, the point is that, and we have also, we talked about it. We want to give people motivation. We want to inspire maybe people, if that is even something that can be consciously designed. But we want also to educate people. But very often, when I'm facing my week of writing, I feel like I'm stuck. I don't know what. I mean, there are so many things to talk about, so many, and there's for sure, my life, my professional life, is a material to I know to keep writing. But when the time comes when I need to focus and choose one subject or one, I would even say, uh, image, then I'm stuck. And I think writing is a horrible profession. How could you? And I want to ask you now, here out loud, how do you even think of choosing it as your? Because you're serious about writing, right? I mean,
Well, it's a
you're attending a
commitment. It's a
course.
1-year
It's a
course.
commitment. Yeah. So why suffer so much? Unless there is unless there is something that makes writing, well, it is a pleasure at the end of the day
Yeah,
if you
that's what I
manage
wanted
to.
to say. When you write a
Mhm,
beautiful text,
mhm.
don't you feel like, oh my God,
Yes, it feels like giving birth to a child, I guess. Well, even though I
how
don't
would
know
yeah.
how but it feels like having a newborn child, in your hands, delivered to you by the medical
Yeah,
staff.
only you didn't suffer. You can hold the newborn
Yes.
child, but without all the suffering. Yeah, first of all, it's how you feel once you crafted this, even this beautiful sentence,
Hmm.
the feeling. But it's actually a good question. But for writers of fiction, I
Hmm.
think I'm beginning to suspect this, because I had no idea
Hmm.
before I started. You actually uh, you live your story, because before I started writing, I thought that how does it happen? You sit, you plan, you have your characters, you plan what they're gonna do and how it's going to end.
Hmm.
This doesn't make a good book. What makes a good book is when you have your characters, well thought
Hmm.
out characters. Yes,
Hmm.
this is a
Hmm.
really important part. And then you put them in a situation. And
So
then,
basically, you don't know what's going to
no,
happen,
you don't know.
or
This
hmm.
makes the best
Wow.
books. And
But it
then you,
reminds me a little bit of writing every text. When I embark on a text, I don't know where this
yeah,
is going to lead me.
sometimes you think you know at the beginning, but
But
then
these
once you
texts are
start,
are ass, Sorry to say that, but these texts. I mean, I'm
you don't have
totally.
to tell me.
Yeah, but I'm really bad at planning. You know that maybe, and planning a text, and I know listing some arguments and then putting them all in, arranging them in a nice coherent prose. It's something I simply cannot do. I need to. I'd rather start as free writer, free writing, kind of writing about whatever, and then this is exactly the story of my text for this Sunday, which means the Sunday that, because from the perspective of you, dear listeners, it's the text that is already hanging on our website. So
The writers, they fall into two camps. They're called planners and
mhm,
pantsers. So planners, they plan everything, but it doesn't mean, I mean, of course it's nice to have a plan, like what's
mhm,
going to happen and which scenes you need to write for this to happen. But at the end of the day, sometimes you will feel that these characters, having been through what they have been through, will not do what you originally planned for them
it's amazing.
at the
Yeah.
end. And if you stay true to yourself, you will have to do what these characters want to do, not you. This is
I mean, it sounds
this is
like great.
sick.
It's, but
This
it's
is
just sick,
crazy.
but it's, so you want to say that all these great characters, these Antonios, Buendias, and others from Marquez and so on, so he didn't know what they are going to do at the end of the book.
Probably he didn't.
It's amazing, It's like having, I know, playing computer game, or not even that, because computer game is scripted, so it will ultimately end in a certain way. You just don't know it, but you think you control the players. I mean, the characters in the game, but at the end, there is certain scripted ending or several endings if you're lucky.
And then when you read fiction, I remember you had this question, what's the difference between fiction and lie? And this is the most difficult thing as far from where I am right now. When you read fiction, you cannot lie. This is also sick, you must be truthful. People will see it. They will say, I don't believe it, this famous phrase. So you're inventing things, but you're not lying, because if you
But you're
lie,
not lying,
it's
yeah.
going to be a really bad book. And it means that you have to be so in touch with your even emotions. This is another thing I'm struggling with, because when you start writing, describing something, and you sometimes I need to sit down and try and evoke this particular emotion in me in order to be able to describe it. Sometimes I have to physically do things. I have to stand up and simply perform the actions that my characters want to perform. You have to do
It
a lot of
reminds me,
research. You Google a lot of stuff.
yeah,
How do people do that? How do they speak?
yes,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
God, you
It's
have to
sick. It's
know
sick.
this world. You have to be, I think a writer is somebody who's a great observer first and
For sure.
foremost.
For sure. For sure. And and I guess it's a person who's constantly, carrying his notebook with him
Yeah,
and just,
yeah,
jotting down
yeah,
these
yeah.
these tiny little
Yeah.
observations, that are normally unimportant, but they
Mm-hmm.
make up later, a great story, and that
Mm-hmm.
feels realistic and so on. What you just said about inventing and lying, and this thin border, it reminds me of my question, one of the questions from my database, and that is the difference between an actor and a liar.
Well, the same thing,
And yeah, and
I
they are
think.
not actors are not liars, right? Because they
If they are
live.
lying, they're bad actors. You will
Yeah,
see
they are
that.
bad actors if they are lying. Exactly. They need to be actually the personas they play.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It all sounds like writing is a very difficult job,
Yeah,
but at
but
the
it
same
might be
time,
even better than traveling. You know what I mean?
mhm, yeah,
Because you
yeah,
get
sure,
to live all these
yes,
lives you write
yeah,
about.
yes.
Staying
Oh, I
in
wish I
this
was.
little box
Yeah,
of yours. I sometimes
yeah,
don't
yeah.
venture out for like 2, 3 days.
Mhm,
I don't see the world, but oh,
yeah.
it's very, very, very
Right,
interesting.
great. Anyway, yes, I just wanted, to vent off some emotions because writing is tough. It's tough, especially if you want to say something smart and you can't. And I told you in an SMS that the best state of mind for me to write is when I'm angry or when I'm somehow,
By angry, you mean you
agitated.
feel strongly about something, not
Yes,
necessarily
yeah,
angry.
yeah, yeah, not necessarily anger, but if I think about strong emotions, it's usually I'm frustrated. I heard something I totally disagree with, or you know, some kind of thing like that. And since my life is not or hasn't been for the past week very eventful, or even the news I read or whatever I met on my way wasn't actually stimulating enough to generate, but at the end I did exactly what I said. I started writing something, and then sorry, I know this is an abomination to compare myself to Proust, but you know I found one little thing, like what was it in Proust's, was it the teaspoon or I can't remember what, where where you kind of there was or a cup of tea. I think where there was this reflection in the cup of tea or something, and then you go into that cup of tea and there's a whole world, a really fat book, written just because he entered into this little I would say picture, because it's like a picture, and this is what I call writing deep and not wide. So you don't write wide that you cover, everything, you talk about everything and so on, but you write deep. That is, you take one situation and you dive into it like a diver, And this is exactly what happened to me now with my text about a kettle, electric kettle.
Wow.
All right. So
okay.
All right, Masha, you don't know the text yet. Our readers may know it because it's already, by the time we publish this episode, it's already online. Fine. Masha, our newsletter is available on Substack, and you can access it through either directly, and the link is in the description because I can't remember it exactly. It's tolpodcast. I don't know, I can't remember that. Or it's substack.com/ it doesn't matter. It's in the description. Or you can actually, if you want to subscribe, because you don't have to, Substack is great because you don't have to subscribe. You can just visit our website. I mean, this Substack, particular Substack. But you may subscribe, and then this newsletter will actually be sent to your mailbox each Sunday morning. So I think it's a great way, 6 a.m. The Central Eastern Time. So it's actually 7 in Kiev, right? All right, great. So yeah, that's it. The links are in the description. Masha, are you ready for some kind of thinking out loud proper?
I feel like that we've already done quite a lot of proper thinking.
Quite a lot of thinking out, quite a lot of proper thinking, but it's not all I've got,
Okay.
So there is the question of the week waiting for you. Let me sign in. Oh my goodness, it's asking me for my fingerprint. What is that? Right. And let me also share this fantastic sound. All right. So, Masha.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
That's about our questions. And let me play this.
Round 1.
There will be no round 2, I guess, today anyway.
No.
But Masha, what do you think? What is the difference and relationship? It's kind of a, 2-in-1 between high self-esteem and big ego. Do you think they go together or not?
Oh my God, just yesterday, I'm sorry, I'm always bringing up my son, who is 13-year-old.
Sure. That's the Columbus son.
And he's, can you imagine, he's into Nietzsche right now. So yesterday we were listening, he made me listen to
Nietzsche, the German philosopher.
Yeah. Have you tried reading this guy?
I did try read it. It was my assignment at the university, but
well, yesterday he offered let's listen to a couple of chapters of his book, and I said, okay, who says no to a 13-year-old when he offers you to listen to an audiobook by
10-year-old reading Nietzsche.
13.
All right.
13. Almost 14 in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Well,
and there was in this I don't remember, of course, the name of the book, but one of the chapters starts with these words: "Why am I so wise?" And I'm like, looking at him, and this guy, I used the which word? Quite arrogant.
He was serious? Yeah, arrogant.
Of course he's serious. Of course he's serious, but it's very interesting. I mean, if you're familiar a little bit with his other works and generally his philosophy, you wouldn't say that he has this big ego. This is definitely high self-esteem. self-esteem is a very big thing. He might not think highly of himself as, I don't know, as a husband. He wasn't a husband, but you have different roles in life, and for each you might have, I assume you might have a little bit different self-esteem, but then you have this overall self-esteem. So I'm sure he just, if you're smart and you know it, it doesn't hurt to simply admit it. No?
You mean admitted that you're smart?
Yes.
It
doesn't mean that you have big ego. It's just that you
kind
are
of feels.
yourself.
I'm assessing this from my perspective. Once again, Central Eastern European.
Yes. Yes.
It's another
he
story,
wasn't
right?
Central Eastern European.
Yes. It's somehow easier to accept in from the mouth of an American than Central Eastern European.
No, it's not about easier to accept. It's about, I think in our case, we have this other extreme, which is this false modesty, actually. I don't think that many people think that they are, what they say they are. Not smart, not whatever, beautiful. I don't think that they are honest about it. It's just that they were raised or taught or whatever. They believe that they cannot, that it's not okay to admit it, at least maybe not to yourself.
Not to brag, yeah.
Yeah, that's what our parents taught us.
Or make
be
others
a show off.
feel worse. Yeah, exactly.
So
how do you see, Masha, the link
ego.
between that? Yeah, and maybe let's start with the fundamentals. What is a big ego? How do you understand that concept? Like someone has a big ego.
I think maybe when you talk about ego, you will inevitably compare yourself with others and think that you are higher, better. But self-esteem, you're somehow just assessing yourself, and maybe compare yourself, however, threadbare and cliche
So you want to say that
yourself yesterday.
If you are alone in the room, your ego doesn't exist because there is no one to compare
Probably
to.
Not. But but how long can you be alone in the room? You mean you've never seen other people?
No, I mean,
you can be physically alone, but you're never alone in this sense. You know that there are other people.
But there's also, and I want to say thank you to Maciek Olszowy, who was here a few weeks ago. He said that there's always the second guy inside of you that is self, right? You've got ego and self, and so you are not alone in the sense that there's always.
I should have listened to this book more closely yesterday and would be better prepared now.
All right, but the point is that I like what you said. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that self-esteem is it's some kind of a reflection on yourself, and ego is a reflection on yourself in the context of other people, right? Now, I'm sure actually if self-esteem is not affected by others, because
but
if I look in the mirror,
always remember this question, self-esteem and compliments. What are compliments? Compliments is how others assess you. But at the same time, can compliments improve your self-esteem? I'm of an opinion that if your self-esteem is healthy, they will be a pleasant addition. If your self-esteem is low, I don't think that they will help boost your self-esteem, because you, at the end of the day, you have your own standards, and you will be judging yourself by these standards.
But this is a hopeless situation. I mean, if you have low self-esteem, how do you climb up? And this is, by the way, the situation. Yeah, this is the situation of Masha, many women, I think. women more than men have lower self-esteem, smaller ego for sure, but I don't know if this is a direct, repercussion of this. But I think that this is the
Do you think
case,
if you talk about genres, it has something to do with sexuality? This inflated ego, or maybe not inflated, just big.
I mean, the fact that men are more likely to have big ego.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if if it has anything to do with sexuality per se, but for sure the fact that that men have been for millennia the stronger sex, or considered to be the stronger sex, and they are, I mean, biologically stronger and so on, and they dominate all these, all of that, man's world is about domination, is about power, strength, and ruling and so on. Something that women are not really so much into, I think.
But I think that at the end of the day, it all comes down to sex and how both sexes perform in the sexual act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mean that one is passive, the other one is active? You mean
not
this?
passive active, but not even that. Women are not always,
No, it's passive.
But there is a, how should I put it? There must be an outcome. And the absence of an outcome hits men's ego much harder than women's ego.
Sorry, I want to make sure we understand each other. You talk about orgasm.
Yeah.
You talk about the climax.
Yes.
But I think it's frustrating for both sides.
Yeah, but I'm now talking. Of course, it's frustrating, but I'm talking about how much your ego is bruised.
All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe. It's interesting, but this is kind of Freudian,
Yeah, of course.
Is your son into Freud too? Because these two, Nietzsche and Freud, are, they are a pair. I remember
Nietzsche is
at my
his
university.
favorite now.
Yeah, but I don't know what is exactly. Probably, as everything, everything comes down either to your childhood or even to your, to your sex, your, biology and and this kind of stuff. But I want to come back to raising self-esteem or building self-esteem, and
I think the key here, if I were a therapist, which I'm not.
Physically has a lot to do with it, by the way, I think. Your looks.
Yeah. It's a looks, complex, thing, your self-esteem. It's your looks, your different skills, and again, like the roles you perform.
I think every time you're, of course, and I'm not only referring to professional athletes, but every time you get injured, your self-esteem goes down a long way, You feel like, okay, I can't move, I can't walk, I can't lift whatever, a mug with coffee. And I think it's affects your self-esteem a lot. You feel useless. I think you feel kind of, like a wreck.
I don't know. For an athlete, surely it's very important. But for me, I mean, if I'm temporarily ill,
I can finally rest and don't have to wash up.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt my self-esteem. But like I said, because of this self-esteem, it's how people give you feedback, but you also have your own standards. So if I were not a therapist, but if I was given, this task to help somebody with the self-esteem, I know that no matter how, and you see it in your students, no matter how often you tell them that their English is good, they are not, they just don't believe you because they have their own standards. So I would work with, these standards. Maybe you need to lower the bar a little bit. Maybe you set the bar too high for whatever reason. Probably in your childhood it happened, like everything.
Yeah, we go back to childhood and this kind of, but you never know. This childhood is, it's a very broad concept. And I mean, being complimented by parents, does it help you or does it actually
compliments from parents is a very different story, is a totally different story. And I think this is how your actually self-esteem is shaped. So the bar you have, which is high, was probably set by somebody, you just unconsciously.
But wait, my parents
it.
complimenting me actually set the bar high or low?
I
Because
don't
it's easy
know
to get compliments. I mean,
what's happening with you.
no. I mean, I wonder if there is any rule for that. Like,
Oh, it's
I know
very
that
individual.
sometimes
Depends on the
it's
child's
individual for
personality,
sure.
because
But
some children.
not, for example, not getting compliments from your parents, not getting this, thank you or whatever from your parents may lead to later in life to some kind of a ill perfectionism, that
Of
I have
course.
to work hard
Yeah,
because I want that thank you, to hear this thank you loud enough, and
yeah,
I was deprived of it as a
yeah,
child, and now I'm striving and striving, and I'm already Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not enough, you have to be better.
yeah.
Yeah, so perhaps but there are so many ways that my goodness, this is horrible. That this childhood later what
I
it
actually I was struggling with these two, and I only now realize this with these two concepts as a parent, because
mhm.
I mean, this show is like therapy. I have very
It's a
low
therapy, yeah,
self-esteem,
for
and I didn't.
participants and listeners.
And I was, with my children, I really didn't want that for them. But at the same time, I was
Sorry, Masha, you
afraid,
didn't want what? Because I
because I have
overslept.
low self-esteem. I didn't want
All right,
them to
all
have
right.
low
Yeah.
self-esteem. But at the same
Mhm,
time, I was afraid I would overdo it, and
mhm.
it's very difficult to find this, sweet
I
spot.
mean, were you afraid to inflate their
Yes,
ego
yes.
instead of self-esteem?
Yeah, but I
Because
think that when I was thinking about self-esteem, I was actually thinking about ego, because
mhm,
now I understand that they are pretty good in terms of self-esteem, but I was sometimes confusing it with ego, and I thought that I was inflating their ego.
mhm.
But now I think I did just fine.
All right. You see, but I think it's very hard to, to be consciously overseeing this, process, this
Yeah.
feedback you're giving your children each day, whether it's about, eating properly or whatever, spending time in front of TV or whatever.
Yeah, and it's very
So,
difficult because these things, these changes, they're incremental, and you don't see
yeah.
it. You only see it when you look back and, oh my God, what have I done?
Mhm.
Slowly, slowly, slowly.
Would you, I had this simple, if not simplistic theory that by complimenting people, and given, of course, the compliments are deserved and so on, you build their self-esteem. You kind of disagreed with this already, that,
Depends on the
it,
age. In childhood, yes, that's what you do.
yeah. But then I thought that flattering people or kissing their butts is
Yeah, I know
actually
your theory.
inflating ego. It's kind of, it works
Wait, this
like,
is what you do in your classes. Are
am
you
I? No, I'm
inflating
not. I'm not kissing anyone's butt. You are referring to the positive
positive
feedback
feedback you give?
I'm giving. But I think there's always something positive to say about someone who was producing language for 1 hour, for the past
Yeah,
one
but
hour.
wait a second. At the beginning, you said that you'd like to think that what you're doing is you're planting this seed that people will get
Of courage.
courage. So
Oh
you're
yeah.
working with people's self-esteem. Your classes, they're like
Yes.
therapy, only cheap.
Yes.
I remember this meme on Instagram that I'm already canceling my session with my therapist because I've just had an English class.
That is so true.
Yeah.
But that is Masha, the effect not of an English class, but of conversations.
Yes. Yeah.
Every time you have a meaningful conversations, let's make it clear, because I think there might be some conversations that are kind of feel empty, like small talking or something, right? But meaningful conversations, they have, of course,
This
therapeutical
effect. Hmm.
effect for sure, and you feel like oh my God, even if you haven't discussed your private life, let's say, but you may still feel like oh, I feel refreshed or something. Sure. That is the power of conversations in general. I think it's totally underestimated, in my opinion. And this is something that, sorry to say that, but AI will not replace. Although I'm thinking now about my exchanges with Pi, this chatbot, which is a variation of ChatGPT. It's kind of, but no, it feels like, this is a machine, If I
Are they
tell it,
better than our conversations?
no, they're not, for sure not.
Thank you for lying.
No, they're not. No, I'm not lying. I'm not
Lying
lying.
out loud.
It's yeah, lying out loud. I hope you'll prepare this this cover for this episode. Right. So, Masha, time. I know we were talking about this
Do you think
self-esteem,
there is a relation between these two?
ego, and self-esteem. I don't think so. I mean, I think that you may have very high self-esteem and at the same time be a modest person with relatively small ego.
Yeah.
I think. But I wonder about the other way. I mean, if you have actually already a big ego, I think you automatically have a high self-esteem, unless it's just a mask that you put on during, the meetings with people, and then when you're alone in the room, you feel like, oh, I'm worthless.
I think psychologists or people who work in this area, they say that usually big self-esteem is a coping mechanism. This is what person is creating.
Sorry,
because they
ego,
don't have
not self-esteem.
Ego.
Ego.
Sorry,
Yeah, that's what you said.
ego,
Self-esteem. Yeah.
Sorry. Ego.
Yeah, I would intuitively agree with this. That it feels like this is the only way to cope. It's I think developing big ego is much easier than developing high self-esteem. I mean, you can
because
somehow
you can always find somebody to compare yourself with in a
brainwash
favorable
yourself.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, you could brainwash yourself that I am, the best, and I am powerful, and it works. I think in the world of big corporations and so on. I think the people who get promotion are very often people with somehow inflated egos, that feel like, yeah, I deserve it, it's for me, because if you don't feel like that, you don't fight for it, you don't, you may give up. I guess.
Remember I heard in some was a TED talk that we often confuse competence for confidence. How should I put it? Please make a good sentence.
Yeah. What?
You
It's
confuse
fine,
what for what? What comes first?
But I guess confidence for competence, or
Yeah.
I don't see the difference if you switch places here.
No, I think there is. We confuse one for another. We think that this is that.
Okay, so you basically claim that there may be people who are very self-confident,
yes, and
but they
present themselves this way.
Yes,
and we think
they are
automatically that they are competent, but they are not necessarily competent. That's why promotions and no.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting, But coming back once again, coming back to the self-esteem, what do you think? What do you think has a bigger impact on self-esteem? A university diploma or a visit to a hairdresser?
That's a question to ask a woman.
No, but I don't know if it works pretty
in the
much the same
long
with
term.
men.
Of course, it's university degree, but a visit to a hairdresser can do a lot. Believe me,
it can do a lot. I would even claim it does more, because you could repeat these visits, each month or even more frequently if you want. Unless, of course, it doesn't work, I guess, if you already have a perfect hairstyle and you go again and you correct just a little bit. It's better to go after some months, when you look really shabby.
So it works in the same way for men.
It definitely does. I mean, and I'm talking about the very day when you have the visit, because on the next day you can't, actually, make that hairdo, the way it was done by a professionalist. Yeah. But it does. It does. I mean, it boosts your self-esteem. I think pretty much like going to the gym and getting more muscular. However, it may vary. Muscular.
What about buying a new outfit?
Sure. I mean, all of that.
But clothes is not a part of you, but your hair is actually part of you.
No, but it counts as your looks, so you can change it. It's pretty much like wearing a different cap or hat or t-shirt or whatever. Pretty much like that, I guess. So I would say that these immediate changes, they have greater impact on your self-esteem daily than your diploma, because I don't even feel the effect of my diploma, honestly, unless I don't know what it's like not to have a diploma, right? And feel this kind of
Yeah.
this kind of how to say that, um, you know, imagine that you don't have a university diploma and you feel kind of, oh my goodness, everyone has it, and I don't have it, and I have to work twice as hard, to prove everyone I have it.
So you're feeding your ego because you're comparing yourself to others. But if you're the reason, if you felt that, I need it because I don't feel that I meet my requirements, personal requirements, then you would be talking about your self-esteem.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because
But
in
it's
this
very
case,
hard
no
to.
matter how many degrees you get, it will not
Yes.
affect your self-esteem. You will be just
No.
feeding your ego and inflating it.
No.
Well,
I would
I
say that
should
the
go
first, the
into,
first, the
I should
first
get a degree
diploma.
in psychology, become a
Yeah,
therapist.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a definitely beautiful field of study. But I want to say that perhaps the first diploma, it just satisfies this kind of I don't know, basic need, so to say. And then the others are just for your ego, because
Are
you
you
may
speaking
feel
from
incomplete.
experience?
No,
You
no.
have three. You
No,
have
no, no,
three.
no, no, no. It's true. I am, I'm a holder of 3 diplomas, but it was an accident. It wasn't, I,
Wait a second.
I,
How can it happen by accident?
no, I wasn't. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I need to, prove something to somebody, or get better CV or something. I was simply interested in certain things,
So you
and
were
that's
nurturing
why.
your self-esteem
I was
at
rather
the end of the
nurturing my
day.
self-esteem, yeah, to be honest, yes,
Okay.
rather this. However, there is certain social pressure on being educated, right? This is reversing slightly now, because people
Reversing, yeah.
start having second thoughts about the value of the university diploma, of wasting 5 or more years of your life doing
Getting
something
into
that will
debt.
ultimately,
Yeah.
yeah, getting into debt in many cases, yeah, and doing it for something that may ultimately not come useful,
Yeah.
apart from that tiny little effect on your self-esteem, perhaps, that it still has, because it's kind of but it's losing prestige, of course, if people are able to see through the modern university education, which is in most cases right now, it's just, I don't know, it's just
Say this word again.
what, worthless.
Ass.
Ass. All right.
It will be assing and lying out loud
Yes.
today.
Yes. All right. No, it's actually, this show is not about using bad words or anything, but
Oh,
from
it's
time to
not.
time,
Only
when
it happens. Yeah.
it happens to me from time to time. Great, Masha. Thanks a lot for this fantastic conversation around ego and self-esteem. Unresolved, or is it? I mean, no, we actually had quite a lot of findings here.
Yeah. Let's not be,
Let's not be exactly.
falsely
Let's not be
modest.
falsely modest. We did a great job.
Admit your achievements. Yeah. Great job today.
Yes, we are actually very good, if not the best. And this show is fantastic.
God, I feel terrible.
Right, I feel terrible too. You know what? I remember one time I was stopped in the street of Warsaw, and by an American, I guess, uh, who was asking for directions. Sure, I told him, you go this way or that way, and so on. And right before we finished our short exchange, he said, "Oh, nice glasses," complimenting my glasses back then. And I immediately thought, something's wrong with my glasses. My God, they are dirty or what? There's something wrong. I and I was basically uh, I wasn't ready to get a compliment, I guess, as a form of, let's say, payment, for help, I don't know actually how it works in the Anglo-Saxon culture, to be honest, but I guess I simply received a compliment, just like, just as a way of saying thank you, or more than thank you. And then for me, I was so suspicious, like, hey, something's wrong with my glasses. Why does he even pay attention to my glasses? Are they looking funny or? Yes. So that's, it's
Sad.
telling, it's telling about our will to accept compliments, Yes. All right. So, Masha, I will not be complimenting you anymore on the show, even though I have you in really high regard.
Okay,
All
made me
right.
feel even worse. Okay.
So,
thank you. Well, that's what they teach you. Just okay, however you feel about the compliment, just say thank you, and that's it. Don't dismiss it. Don't argue.
no,
Just say
exactly.
thank you. So
Yes.
thank you.
And that was what?
And nice glasses, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah, I got to clean them, How about this episode, Masha?
How about it? Ah, it's the end of the episode. Oh, put on your glasses. You look weird. Come on.
Sorry, I'm cleaning them. Yeah, I look strange, with small eyes
Oh.
like that.
Ooh,
Now, it's me.
okay. Phew. So this was, thank you everyone for bearing with us.
And for being such a great audience.
Great audience. Yeah. I wish we
best.
knew our audience better. I wish somebody, well,
We
what
know
we
quite a
wish.
lot about them. We know their gender, their age, we know
Ooh.
everything the algorithms are able to harness,
Yeah, but we don't know what they think about self-esteem and ego.
Yeah, that's what we don't know.
I wish we did.
All right.
So if you have any thoughts,
please write your comments.
please,
Write your comments below this episode on Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to. Apple Podcasts, I think. Does it even offer comments? I don't know.
No.
Probably not.
No.
All right. Well, then you can always text us or write an email actually at tolpodcast@hotmail.com. Why not?
Yes. So this was another episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.